Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
No one can hear that jingle.
Really?
Yeah, no one can hear that jingle.
Could you hear it?
I couldn't hear it.
How could you hear the ding but not the...
I didn't hear the ding.
You told me you did.
No, I said I didn't. You did just wake up like 30 minutes ago.
Listen.
Wait.
Okay.
Tori said she heard it.
Oh. Yeah, they could hear it.
Papa Jokester heard it. What is happening here?
Thank God. I was going to say.
Make a sound. Not you personally, but the soundboard. Try it again.
Will's over there furiously pushing buttons. Again?
Yeah. Well, we'll figure this out when Evan gets back. We'll figure this out when Mom's home.
That's all right.
How you doing?
We are over live on TikTok as well. If you search for me or for Will, you'll find it. Just know Evan today. Evan is in the air or at a layover or something. He left Argentina extremely early this morning. And he is, I don't know, he's farting around somewhere in some airport. There seems to be mass confusion about who can hear what where. We'll figure it out when Evan gets back. I barely know what's going on. It doesn't make any sense that it doesn't, although I think it might just be something internal with the soundboard, because at this point, the cables are fine. The plugs are all fine. Everything's plugged in. Everything's hooked up to the right thing.
Sometimes the fairies in the magic box just decide to not work that day.
But William, before I had rugged you by not plugging you into the TikTok, you were sharing some insights about data that doesn't matter anymore, specifically Bitcoin dominance.
Yeah, Bitcoin dominance doesn't matter right now, and it won't until we have a lot of altcoin ETFs. Because if you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, and I'll pull it up in a second here, but I'll quickly just talk about my thought. If you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, Bitcoin dominance still looks like we're in a bull market, meaning that like Bitcoin dominance is still basically going down and showing weakness. I haven't looked at it the past couple of days, but like largely we've been seeing that. You've still seen Bitcoin dominance falling, which means typically altcoins should be doing really, really, really well. However, that's obviously not the case, right? And this is happening because of the ETFs, because the majority of new retail and new money that came in the cycle, and they did come in this cycle, came in through the ETF product. They didn't come in and buy Bitcoin on the exchanges and then dive into a whole bunch of altcoins, right? They wanted to buy through the ETFs. They've been buying through Fidelity and BlackRock for forever. That's the only thing they wanted to buy through. And so they had two options, Bitcoin and Ethereum. And for the most part, this cycle, they really just bought Bitcoin, except for in like the last few months of that move upwards, right? Then people really started to dive into Ethereum. But the thing is if you only have one coin to sell, then you all sell that coin, right? That's all you got when things come time to selling. And so people have been selling Bitcoin a ton. If you take a look at the ETF outflows, and I'll pull that up in a second as well, they're massive. They're gigantic. And so Bitcoin has actually been selling harder than altcoins. So if you go and look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, it looks like you're in a bull market. And if you're in the old mindset, you go, oh my God, things just have to be green for a little bit. And bull market's here. We're still in it. We're still in the bull market. But no, it's a lie. That indicator at least is a lie, telling you that we're still in a bull market, because the ETF buyers didn't have the opportunity to go and like buy a ton of altcoins because they weren't going to take their money to Coinbase and buy Algorand and Hedera and your Swedes and your Solanas and all that kind of stuff, right? They just had Bitcoin as their entire crypto portfolio. They sold their entire crypto portfolio, which was just Bitcoin. So all the new money only had Bitcoin. They just sold that. And so Bitcoin dominance is like, oh, maybe we're still in a bull market. It's like, no. Just no one else bought altcoins. Let me pull up the chart in a second. But yeah, so Bitcoin dominance's data is kind of irrelevant at this point until we have a lot of altcoin ETFs, so that ETF investors have the opportunity to kind of dive in. Also, of course, I still shilling Pengu. I still very much so believe in Pengu long term. Still very much so do. Let's see, Bitcoin dominant. Oh wait, I pulled up Bitcoin dominance first. Yeah. Let me show you the chart.
Real Gaba over on TikTok asking about Pengu. I got to give you props because you're becoming kind of a staple regularly do I see you asking about Pengu and whether or not it's still being shilled.
Pengu. I still love Pengu. I still think it overtakes Doge.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, we're just talking about brand presence, and
I love their brand.
They're doing the thing.
God, I love their brand.
Okay, so what is this?
So this is the Bitcoin dominance chart, and so I'll direct your attention to like right here. This is what should be a bull market. And hang on a second, let me let Alex turn this around. So what I just circled, right? See Bitcoin dominance falling here, and that is starting as soon as November 4th. And if I show you November 4th here over on Bitcoin, that's right here. Obviously, we have been falling drastically, right? And as you can imagine, altcoins have been falling drastically as well. But when you take a look at Bitcoin dominance, you're like, oh, Bitcoin dominance is falling. So Bitcoin's probably a little bit green and altcoins are super green right now. Obviously, that's not the case. I just showed you the chart. All of us know where all of our portfolios are recently. They're not great unless you've been shorting the market, in which case, hey, you've been killing it. Congratulations, right? And to provide an example for people who might not be used to looking at Bitcoin dominance, if we zoom out a little bit, and I'll have to change the time frame here, and let me just clean up the chart so it's a little bit easier to look at. So, the previous bull run here, this was when the bull run started. So Bitcoin dominance was falling precipitously because altcoins were on a major run. Alex, can you pan the camera a little bit to the left? Thank you. So, altcoins were on a major run right here. And then we had the end of the bull market along these two lines I have marked on the chart. And you started to see Bitcoin dominance really start to go upwards, right? Bitcoin was selling, altcoins were selling harder. And that's the case for every single bull run that we've had. But now, Bitcoin has been selling super hard, altcoins have been selling super hard, and yet Bitcoin dominance has been maintaining or falling. So we can pretty much take Bitcoin dominance data and throw it out the window because it is not showing any of its historical trends that we've seen before. Because like we mentioned earlier, people only have the Bitcoin ETF for new money that came in. So they've just been selling Bitcoin and dumping it super, super hard. They haven't had the opportunity to sell altcoins because they don't own altcoins. I'm going to stop sharing this real quick, and then I'll pull up the total ETF outflows. Let me go to Bitcoin Farside ETF.
So we've talked about, a lot of data being different this time around. And of course, it feels worth it to mention that in the grand scheme of things too, this entire industry is too young for data to be relied on as heavily as people have been relying on data.
Yeah,
like,
very good point.
We are constantly seeing all sorts of stuff that the industry's never had to tangle with before. And I mean, I would push back to say, not just until you see altcoin ETFs, because we have a few, but the nature of the investability of an altcoin versus Bitcoin for someone interested in crypto is still very low. And so there's a lot that needs to change, I think, beyond just having the presence of the vehicle. But I would be very curious to see, first of all, if we get more and in what kind of time, because if they all sneak in here when it's like hyper bearish, then I don't know. I don't think it would matter that much.
Yep. And so I'm on the website here called Farside Investors. It's just one of the areas that track the ETFs. And so if we track back to November 5th, which is actually a pretty good time to actually look back to, because that November 4th timeframe was when we really started to see things really slide on Bitcoin dominance. But I mean, like, look at the outflows here we've had. Let's see. Let me just count them first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Out of the past 13 days, we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of the past 13 days have been outflows. But outflows is ranging 137 million, 558 million, 278 million, 866 million, $500 million, $250 million, $350 million, an entire $1 billion of outflows. Meanwhile, the inflow days are 75 million, $500 million, pretty good, $250 million, 1.2 million. And yesterday was actually inflows of $238 million. Another reason as to why, yesterday, that was Friday. But yeah, like, outflows are pretty egregious right now. And I was going to show you DeFi Llama's ETFs because it shows it in a little bit of a different way, but DeFi Llama is not working for me right now, sadly. But anyway, like and those outflows have been that way over the past like number of weeks now. Like even going back before November 4th and November 5th, the outflows are egregious. Because I mean, think about it. You have brand new investors to the crypto space, like brand new investors to the crypto space who have never been exposed to crypto's volatility, and Bitcoin's volatility to them is a shock, right? Let alone altcoins, but they don't own altcoins. So it is a shock, and they are selling Bitcoin hard because they view Bitcoin not as a store of value, but as a risk-on asset. And we are not in a risk-on market right now. We're in a very scared risk-off market at this current point in time.
Right. Yeah, no, that's worth, I think, highlighting too, that we have very niche, nuanced opinions of different things inside of this space, but like at large, if people are even aware of it. I mean, there was just a really good video that was posted by CoinGecko on their TikTok, and it was just kind of like a person on the street sort of, hey, what do you think about crypto kind of a video. I think the setup question was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you know about crypto? And most people like either said nothing, or they sort of arbitrarily said 4, and to them 4 meant I've heard of Bitcoin. And that is still at large, like a majority of the time, if I bring it up or if I have a conversation with someone that touches on it, no one's ever heard of any of it.
Yeah.
So
no one's heard of any of the stuff we talk about except for Bitcoin, or maybe XRP, or maybe Ethereum.
And those are like real fringe maybes.
Those are like, real fringe maybes.
Like we are very deep in it here, so it seems like common sense, but it really truly isn't. So there's still a tremendous amount of discovery that has to happen. And the problem is that now people are being led to that discovery through the lens of politics, which just makes it's worse.
Brutal. Ugh, that's fucking brutal.
So we really need to keep in mind that that's the way most people are discovering things, and there's a reason that it's as polarizing as it is, even though at the end of the day, some of this stuff really fixes a lot of very serious problems that we're contending with, specifically around money and banking.
Some of it truly does. Some of it truly does, and that's the frustrating thing. But hey, progress is not made quickly; it's made slowly.
No, it's true, and I still always come back to this one idea that whenever you look at a new industry and you try to think about like, why does it have potential? What is it disrupting? And then you use that to try to gauge like how big could it get if things go well. And if you identify what is this industry disrupting, it's just money. And I can't think of an industry that is more heavily guarded against anything being disruptive to the incumbent status than money. So it should track that this is exactly how it went, especially given that the first thing that you might discover about it is the velocity is so much higher, which means that the people who come into it are driven by the desire to use it to extract quickly, because it's not watched and it's very fast.
Speaking of extracting quickly, do you want to talk about USD1 and the Genius Act?
Yeah, I kind of do. This is so bad that it's literally inspiring me to make a new show. So speaking of discovering this stuff through the lens of politics exclusively, what's one of the most tired talking points that we hear on a regular basis? Like, oh, all we need is regulation. All we need is regulation, without any real conversation as to like, what does that mean? Like, what kinds of rules and what kinds of laws and what sorts of bills and all that kind of stuff? Like, what do we actually want to see? I'm curious. Like, does anyone have any suggestions? I would be really curious if you've ever heard the talking point, all we need is regulation. Has anyone ever offered any specifics as to like what we need?
I hear it from you. I hear it from you and from you.
So exactly. The last tweet that I tweeted about this was Genius is a corporate benefits package, and it was rammed through. And Clarity is the first bill that offers some sort of help to the rest of us, and it's been split up into multiple fragments, and it's currently languishing on the Hill, and I don't see it passing anytime soon, at least in any form that we recognize. And that should tell you all you need to know about the priorities to regulate this industry. Like, I'm literally begging you, please read Genius. Please read Genius. It's really bad. Okay, it doesn't do anything good for anybody. Unless you're a multi-billion-dollar American corporation interested in launching your own stablecoin and making a bunch of money doing so. In that case, it's awesome.
We know it's all of us here. That's all of us here.
That is all of us, right?
That's all of us. That's all of us.
That's all of us. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about my multi-billion-dollar multinational corporation.
I know, dude. I keep trying to remind you about it.
I know. I keep forgetting that thing's there.
I know, right? It just keeps running.
But
it just keeps really stealing everyone's money.
The new show is all about reading legislation, because the people voting on this stuff also didn't read it. So don't feel bad. If you didn't read it, don't feel bad, because the senators and the representatives that voted on it also didn't read it. It's really interesting to me that that bill got bipartisan support the way that it did, because that kind of sends a message that it's sort of like good and innocuous, that if I see bipartisan legislation pass, I generally expect it to be pretty boring and lame and not really do anything for anybody, because otherwise how did they possibly agree on it? But there's just a couple timing things that just are really, really, really hard to square with this. An interesting fact check is, how soon after the passing of Genius did USD1 become a thing? And what in Genius makes USD1 special? And for those who don't know, USD1 is the World Liberty Financial, the Trump family stablecoin. And sort of in the same way that the Bible thing went, it's the only one that meets all of the very specific backing requirements laid out as the framework for stablecoin backing and reserve requirements in Genius. USDC does not meet those requirements. Neither does Tether. Neither does, I don't believe, any other stablecoin. Gemini might get close, the GUSD stablecoin, but even they are not 100%. And to be fair, that's not necessarily a weird or bad thing. Nothing is. Nothing, no like universal like thing able to be used internationally has an exclusively American backing system. And so to see that with USD1 versus the other ones, it kind of becomes harder and harder to square Genius as anything other than an attempt to squeeze out competition and clear the way for USD1. In that sense, nobody needs the altcoin market to go up in order for USD1 to make a certain group of people a very large amount of money. And so in that sense, altcoins hemorrhaging are just collateral damage. It's not even that they're being like targeted to be attacked down. There's just, it turns out there's not really any real demand for most of them beyond speculation.
Well, why make money on an altcoin with the risk of it going up and down and the bad publicity that comes with it, when you can make a bunch of money on a stable coin and look like a hero all the time?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's just it. If you're looking to get into business, you get into business with a stable coin. You don't do it with any of these meme coins or anything, because you're going to get trashed in like, I don't know, probably 36 hours.
Well, it's deeper too. Because Will, pop quiz, how much does the current administration love the Fed?
On a scale of let's see, I'm trying to think of something funny. I don't know, 1 to 100, probably -72.
Yeah, pretty much. Really don't like the Fed. And so what do you do when you really dislike a department or an agency or an institution or some sort of body of government? What's the MO right now? The MO is install an incompetent leader to run it into the ground and then kneecap it. And Genius kneecaps the Fed pretty hard by incentivizing and pushing American companies who want to launch a stablecoin to buying treasuries, taking them away from the Fed and transferring custody of those treasuries from Fed custody to private corporations. Oh. This also hurts
no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Huh.
And then they keep those treasuries to back their growing stablecoin. And then how do you keep the peg on a stablecoin? You arbitrage those treasuries behind the scenes, buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling to maintain your peg at $1. And you make money doing that. And guess what Genius also does? with regards to who pays what in yield and where the profits and yields and interest go from all of those backed assets and those stable coins. They don't go anywhere because they can't. They stay with the custodian, the private corporation. So all of a sudden you have a world wherein Walmart, Amazon, Starbucks, doesn't matter, could effectively become a bank running these stable coins, buying treasuries, taking money and power away from the Fed, meaning that it is less and less and less important in the world of, Fed policy doesn't matter as much anymore. And then loans and all of this kind of stuff get processed by giant corporations instead, who are not beholden to the same rules, who have all sorts of other things going on. And all of a sudden you just shift and you've completely privatized the US dollar to the hands of some very wealthy, very large corporations instead, including our presidents.
Oh man.
And that's genius.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So the reason why that is horrifying and should be horrifying is because no matter what you hear, the Fed is, you can argue this, right? There, you can totally bring counterpoints to this, and I would disagree with you. We could have a very nice conversation and debate about it. But the Fed is ultimately good, in my opinion, and you do not want to privatize this. You also do not want to take the Fed's job and put it in the hand of politicians. Equally, you do not want to take the Fed's job and put it into the hands of private companies, because the Fed is designed to do two things. A, they're appointed by elected officials, right? So they're beholden to the view of the public, basically, for their jobs. Like that's their job. It's not for profit or anything, right? They're beholden to the public, essentially, and public opinion. And so the Fed has two jobs. Their job is to maintain the health of the dollar and to maintain the labor market in the United States. That is not the job of a politician, nor is it the job of a private company. The job of a politician is to get elected. That's their incentive.
Stay in power.
To stay in power. That is their incentive. It is not to actually serve you. They serve you to manipulate you so that you keep them in power. Private companies, their main incentive is to make money for shareholders. Okay? Those incentives drive actions in very different ways than, oh, my pure incentive is to literally make sure the dollar works for the country and also the country is employed. Very different incentives drive very different actions, and more likely than not will cause a lot of pain for the public.
That's the highlight that I want to make out of what you just said, because I think, and I agree, that we could have a healthy discourse about whether the Fed is good or bad, or whether people like the Fed, or whether it's done good things, done bad things. I think that you have to take that back to when it was created and why it was created, and maybe stuff that was happening around that time. I think all of that contributes
to the Articles of Confederation. Sorry, yeah.
But at the end of the day, something that we should at least be able to agree on is that the responsibility of managing the currency of the nation should not lie in someone who has a private incentive to just get rich.
Yes.
It should lie with a nonpartisan governing body and entity. And we can argue all day long about the specific individuals who end up running those agencies, because of course people are flawed and can have problems. But that's not necessarily a problem with the institution. It's a problem with the person. So just keep that in mind. It's an important nuance to draw the distinction between.
I just lost my cyan light.
Nah.
Oh man, it got bummed out about this whole privatization of the Fed. But yeah, again, like you said, we can argue about stuff, but about like the nuances of it all. But at the end of the day, aligning incentives towards the thing you want to see in the world is, in my personal opinion, how you see things get done to whatever kind of end goal that you want, because people will do the thing that they are incentivized for. So you should incentivize the parts of society to do the thing that ultimately you think should be done. In this case, let's make sure that people don't have wild inflation across the board so that everyday folks can afford things at the store. And let's also make sure that they're employed so that they're making money so that they can afford those things at the store that are hopefully not too expensive, right? Those are the incentives of the Fed. And granted, like they're not able to affect that very quickly because that's just not how world economics works, right? things go slowly in the perception of human time, right? They work on the span of years, right, as opposed to decades. But if you then say, okay, cool, let's give the same tools to the people who just want to make money and they don't care about the little guy, and also the people who just want to stay in power and they don't really care about the little guy, guess who's going to get fucked? Us, normal day people. Like, right? That's just what's going to happen. So anyway, that Genius Act, I didn't realize it was as garbage as it wanted, as it wanted, as it actually is.
Oh yeah, read it. It's bad. Not great. I think clarity too, like, I'm less excited about clarity than I think a lot of people are. Like, sure, okay, fine, we're heading in the right direction, and I guess it's good to try to identify, which agencies and which enforcement bodies have the correct, the true jurisdiction over this, that, and the other thing. We're still arguing about definitions, and it was a little bit of a step up that some of the shady DeFi language was pulled out specifically. Although personally, I find that interesting because DeFi is the thing that threatens this like corporate structure that I'm talking about here. I think maybe there's just the hope that no DeFi will be true DeFi. And so then maybe it won't matter and it'll kind of solve itself because everyone is like really lining up to get behind corporate interest in their protocol anyway. And the blending of TradFi and DeFi, which is bullshit, by the way. You can't blend TradFi and DeFi. That's nonsense. But still, like I said, we're arguing about definitions. We're arguing about who has what authority over what and when. And at the end of the day, there's like a couple real big things that we get kept down by on a regular basis, like the very slanted tax laws that make it really tough to navigate this whole space. And especially if you work here, because if you get paid in crypto, you pay taxes twice, and that's bullshit. And I mean, there's nothing, by the way, there's not a single even proposal sitting on someone's desk that only has their support. Like, we're not even there with a tax help, a crypto tax cleanup thing. And until you can't even begin that until clarity's done. And clarity doesn't go far enough to perfectly define all of these specific things and exactly what category every one of these assets falls into so that you can appropriately come up with how they fit into the tax code. So it's just, it's a shit show.
Yeah, hopefully something gets done. It's weird for me to say this. For those of you who know me, I'm a registered Democrat. But I like to see progress get done. So like, hey, if Trump administration can hopefully push forward the Clarity Act, because here's my fear. My fear is, even if the Democrats win in November's midterm elections, I'm so worried that they would then shut down any positive movement for crypto.
You should be, because none of them understand any of it. None of them understand
any of it, but they just go, Trump likes that, so I'll go against that. And then also you have just like such an easy punching bag to be like, hey, are you mad that you don't have money, America? And people can be like, yeah, shit's expensive and we're unemployed right now.
Blame crypto.
Look at the Trump administration. They profited all these billions of dollars while you're broke. Aren't you mad? Yeah, they use crypto to do that. I don't like crypto. It's like, no, damn it. It's such an easy punching bag, and it's going to happen.
No, it will. And it's the problem with politics, because we drew that divide. Neither one of these parties is in it to solve it for people. And I think my original explanation of this, like right when the election happened, was Republicans have discovered the incredible power of money transfer speeds with this and the ability to like grift effectively and make a bunch of profit from it. So they've embraced it. Meanwhile, Democrats are ramming their head farther and farther and farther up their rear end in staunch denial that any of this stuff could be cool. And they're just fighting to fight because they don't know what else to do.
My only faith, and this is also fucked up, is in Larry Fink and his ability to just be like, hey, Democrats, and just like wave money in front of their faces. I want you to like crypto now. And they'll be like, ooh, Papa Fink, yeah. I don't know why they're all small little German boys. Oh yeah, Papa Fink, yeah, we love this. This is amazing. The crypto is so good, yeah.
It just felt appropriate.
It felt appropriate. Just that's my Nancy Pelosi impression.
I really did though, like so there's another thing, right? Like yeah, we're not. We I guess we're finally starting to talk a little bit more commonly about the whole insider trading thing. Like that, there's another part that needs to get solved because the people making all of the rules are incentivized to make them one way or another. Like again, it has nothing to do with what's good for all of us.
Well, not the berries and cream voice. Berries and cream, berries and cream. Oh,
I mean,
fantastic.
I don't know. I feel you. Like, you know, even if you were registered that way, like it's incredibly disenfranchising to watch either party talk about it. Because, I mean, dude, look at like, you want to know how you can tell that the entire like progressive Democrat Party is full of shit and doesn't really know anything and has no real agenda, no plan.
Go on.
Hasn't, yeah, dude, for real. Can you tell?
Also, I feel like there is no real progressive party within the Democratic. I feel like the Democratic Party isn't actually a party. It's just a bunch of individuals who are like, I don't know, I'm here.
Well, it's, yeah, I mean, now's their time to shine and they're not doing anything about it, which is crazy to me. But no, I mean, sure, you know, call it progressive arm of anything. Anyone who calls themselves a progressive, especially one who's like built a platform on, I don't know, taking down big banking, Elizabeth, should be all over DeFi.
That's my senator. Woo.
Rip.
Elizabeth.
I mean, it just, what does it show? Because she's not the only one. There are plenty who it should be a champion issue. The idea of decentralizing the financial system, democratizing access to finance should be a rallying cry for libertarians, for progressive Republicans, for progressive Democrats, for socialists, like anything. You should be all over that. The fact that you're not, when it's really not that complicated of a concept to wrap your head around, really speaks volumes about how slanted the whole thing is.
I just like Robot Steckler's comment. Let's only talk about religion and politics in here.
I saw there was a tweet yesterday that I flagged that was just like, hey, crypto people, stop bringing politics into your conversation. And my reply was like, I would love to, but unfortunately,
it was forced upon me.
It was forced upon me. The two have become so intertwined that you really can't ignore. You can't not bring it up because, like we said before, right? Like if we're sliding into a bear market right now, or we're in there and we're trying to figure out how long or whatever, what's the question that I wish we were able to just sit here and ponder? Okay, great. Let's start making a buy list for altcoins that have a real potential. And what would we be doing? We would be doing fundamental analysis on a whole myriad of different projects and asking yourself if you think all the usual suspects, right? Like what's the team? What's the product market fit potential? What's the problem they're solving? Blah, 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 whatever. I can't even do that because none of it matters.
I would love to be able to look at crypto in the way that it was purely designed to, which was through the eyes of like a libertarian, which is just, hey, this thing is useful and empowers individual people to improve their own lives purely within their own power and away from those of companies and governments. I would love to just be able to evaluate it in that sense.
That would be cool.
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? There's a timeline out there, everyone. There's a timeline out there where that is the case and everyone just evaluates things purely on that basis. And there's some niceties to that.
I do believe that's the case, but we've got a lot to do now before we can get to a point where that can be done with any sort of certainty. I mean, it was a gamble before. Now it's like, actually now it's come so far that it's not even a gamble anymore. It's just like you're pretty much just guaranteed to lose money if that's how you go. You know, like what hope does your little altcoin have? Look at the ones that have like the most.
My little altcoin was going to be the next Bitcoin, Alex. I was
buddy.
told by Xander73xmoney69 on Twitter.
I know, buddy. It's a tough.
My little coin.
It's a tough pill to swallow that your super fancy, unique little consensus mechanismed altcoin that solves this and that problem doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of coins that don't matter, did you see that like Cardano basically didn't work?
I confess. I confess that I don't know exactly what happened. I
don't know
I
exactly
have
what happened
7
either.
tabs open on my other computer that are all articles trying to explain to me exactly what went wrong. But the crux of it, from what I've understood, is that somebody basically corrupted it using AI
Vibe coding, yeah.
and managed to get infected code uploaded to a number of nodes, which caused some problems with the chain. And then, and now the roasting of Cardano on Twitter has
So
reached
good.
has
So
reached an
good.
all-time high,
It's been so
including
good.
the worst one, which was Mert's tweet yesterday that said Charles Hoskinson was so surprised that anybody uses Cardano that he sent the FBI after them.
Yeah, it's so good because Charles Hoskinson did do that. He apparently called the FBI, which is just like funny. I saw like one person. I understand defending your chain, but I did see this one comment where I was like, no, I actually agree with that, which was these are meant to be permissionless, decentralized networks for people to use in any way, shape, or form. Like, even if someone attacks it, it's kind of like you don't really have a right to call the police about it. And I was like, you know what? I kind of agree with that, sort of. Like, I understood the ethos. I just had never thought about it before in that sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, to Cardano's credit, it seems that the problem was fixed relatively quickly, but it's still
it seems like the problem was fixed very fast. Yeah.
Which means that you do need to do some sort of a postmortem and figure out why and how it could be prevented or at least made more difficult in the future. But I think way too many people have so much pent up rage about Cardano as an ecosystem that they just use this as an opportunity to let all of their frustrations out at the same time. And then, of course, competitors like, Mert saying that really doesn't mean anything to me because, of course, he's incentivized to do that. He's running a competitor.
Solana. But I also love some of the comments where people pulled out the quotes from Charles Hoskinson. One was like, "This disrupted millions of users," and people were like, just like ellipses, ... millions?
Millions?
Other people were just like, breaking news, Charles Hoskinson finds out there's at least one person using Cardano today. It was the person who vibe coded. Oh, man. It was so good. I was just diving through the comments. I was taking screenshots of comment sections on Twitter and sending them to Alex and Evan, and I was just dying. I was just laughing so hard.
You know what, though? This is an interesting talking direction of wow, I don't even know what that sentence that I was trying to say was supposed to be. This is an interesting thing to talk about because there's a couple. Cardano's not the only one that I would say falls into like this category of like ecosystem that just sort of stopped existing, and like it's there,
it's
but
a top
there's
10 coin.
Yeah,
it's a top 10 coin.
Why?
I know, right? Hey,
why?
You know what? Actually, I don't know which one I'm more confused about, or not necessarily confused. Like I understand, but like Cardano or XRP, which one deserves to be in the top 10 the least amount?
Oh, Cardano. It's not even close.
Yeah. Oh no, I would totally agree with you because XRP at least has like connections with a real business that's actually trying to like do things and make money in Ripple.
They have a brand.
Yeah, they have a brand.
They have a brand and they have like fans and they have holders and all that. Yeah.
Well, Cardano has fans and holders, but like XRP more so.
I want you to go on Twitter right now and look up Cardano bull posts and tell me what you find.
Okay, that's fine. All right, that's fair. Point made. Point made. There are none. Yeah,
put them right next to the Polkadot bull posts.
Ooh, yikes.
It's what you have are like holders, long-term community members that want to see things turn around, but it needs a lot. It could be saved, but first, the first thing there, it requires owning up to the problems, which is one of the reasons that what?
Owning up to the problems.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it can't do that. Well,
can't do that.
Some do. That's literally hard. That. I mean,
some do.
That's why we started working with Polygon, because that was the opening pitch. Like, hey, we dropped the ball. We need help picking it up again. Love that. Say less.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. Every major ecosystem effectively needs to say that. Just letting it marinate. Anyway,
this has been a very fun conversation. I'm having a great time this morning.
No,
I'm sorry, Evan's not here.
He's at an airport somewhere. Evan will be tomorrow morning. Will be the last show that Evan misses as a result of his effectively moving to Argentina.
Yeah, it seems like he wants to move there. Honestly, I could see him down in Buenos Aires.
Oh, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been. Actually, it's funny. I've never been to Latin America with all my travels.
You know what? I never have. Oh, no, that's not true. Well, I was deployed there. That doesn't really count. I didn't get to.
Technically, you were there.
Technically, yeah. Technically, I was there.
Oh, also, I finally followed your personal Instagram a little while ago, and you haven't posted pictures there in forever. So seeing pictures of you from like 12 years ago, I'm like, who the fuck's this guy? He's so skinny and still full of hope.
He was young and optimistic.
He was young and optimistic. Oh, yeah. Oh, funny. Yeah, it was
Good
cool
time.
seeing the Alex of the past.
Speaking of Evan and DevConnect, so we already know that DevConnect next year is in Mumbai. And
oh, interesting.
Yeah, never been there either.
Yeah, no, I've never been to India.
Although I do have a friend who, shout out, blast from the past. We used to play RuneScape together. He lives in Mumbai.
Oh, hell yeah, that's awesome.
Born and raised, as far as I know, still there. Although we haven't talked in a few years, but
I was about to accidentally say the richest thing ever. So I have to be like, well, I've never been to India, but I have swam in the Indian Ocean.
That's awful. Schmillion schmatzen, everybody.
I have swam in the waters.
Anyway,
bathed in the salt. Anyway, continue.
There's a lot of really interesting travel opportunities for next year. So I think we need to sit down and kind of go through all that, because there's two consensus every single year. One on the US North American side, and then one internationally. And so next year it's Miami and Hong Kong. And then
wait, sorry, did you say DevConnect is going to go Mumbai, Miami, Hong Kong?
No, consensus is Miami, Hong Kong. Yeah, Token 2049 is at least Dubai, and then there's always another one, and then permissionless probably still in New York, I would imagine. And then if they run emergence again, hopefully that will be in Prague again, because I would love an excuse to go back.
Yeah, well, Miami's an easy one for me because my brother's there. That'll be nice.
Oh,
but
yeah,
at the same time, it'll be kind of weird to be back in Miami for a crypto thing, because I don't know, it's interesting, the movement of crypto culture in America. You know, it very much so looks like in the last bull run that Miami was going to be the capital of crypto of the world, and it was all going to move there, especially because you have all the Dubai connections between Dubai and Miami. And you had Mayor Francis Suarez, and you had like the crypto bull statue, and yada, yada, yada. And then with the bear market, and then with FTX's collapse, that went away fast. And then it all went to New York or international. Because you had that bear market, and then you had Gary Gensler at the SEC, which, God, does that feel like a long time ago now? Feels like a long time ago. Gary Gensler was just smashing the American crypto industry, and everyone went internationally, just dispersed across the world. And now it's really kind of like in the States, I feel like it's really just kind of centered around New York again, which makes sense given it's the financial capital of the world. But it's really just kind of centered around New York. And then you have like a few groups that survived in Miami because they moved there, and then the industry moved, and they just went, wait, what? As the industry moved, they're like, but I moved. Shit, I bought a house, I have a mortgage. Damn it. Oh, and there's a lot in Texas too. There's a lot in Texas. The Bitcoin mining industry is in Texas, which makes sense because there's a lot of cheaper like solar and wind.
Although leaving, not that part, but the conference scene, because consensus used to be in Austin every year, and now it moves. The first 3 consensuses that I went to were all in Austin.
Yeah.
Only in the last couple of years has it gone elsewhere. And then Bearded on YouTube says Bitcoin Prague 2026 in mid-June. When we were in emergence, or when we were in Prague for emergence in 24, that is right when the Czech Republic removed capital gains for Bitcoin specifically. So that doesn't surprise me. Prague is a cool ass city. Yeah,
Prague's dope. It's gorgeous. It's awesome.
Cool. Beautiful.
Very fun nightlife. First ever strip club I went to in my life was in Prague. And it was very... I was like, oh, this is a strip club. And then I came back to America, and I was like, oh, this is... I was like, these are totally different things.
Yeah, my only experience was Atlantic City.
I'm sorry.
Again, deployed.
I'm sorry.
We're doing just repeated overflights of the president golfing at Bedminster, and
oh yeah, you told me those stories. Oh, you told me that story. Yeah,
and then ended up in Atlantic City for the week with the plane, because there's a Coast Guard air station there.
Yeah, my girlfriend went to Atlantic City a lot, being in Maryland. Atlantic City's not too far. Everyone calls it Atlantic Shitty.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't make really many fond memories, and I have no plans to go back.
Yeah, I can't say. I'd like to just experience it and go like, huh, all right, that's what this is, and leave.
I have to apologize to everyone watching, because I've been a terrible steward of the chat. So Will, maybe you can stall while I read through and see if there's any questions. And if you guys have a question or something that you would like us to cover instead of what the hell we're doing now, please feel free to repost it.
Oh, that's this comment is weird from Miltos, which is, my country, Cyprus, recently announced a flat 8% on all crypto gains tax. I feel like Cyprus is the type of place that would be like free.
Interesting.
Yeah, right. Just because like it's Cyprus, so I feel like Cyprus would just be like, hey, 0% tax. I mean, like an 8% tax on capital gains is very low.
Very low.
So that is interesting. But I feel like Cyprus would just be like, hey, free. But 8% is super, super, super low, which is cool. Papa Aztec, let's tokenize strip clubs. That'd be a perfect example of one of those things where it's like, no, we're gonna tokenize this. Why? Because we're gonna put it on the blockchain. Okay, and then like in 2017, that would have done numbers. That would have done numbers in 2017, man.
Oh yeah,
you would have had $1 billion coin right there.
I'm sure it did.
I'm sure it actually did. I'm sure someone did.
I'm sure there was a metaverse strip club somewhere.
I'm sure there was.
That someone paid a lot of money to own the real estate for or something.
They're like, hey, this is 17 blocks away from Snoop Dogg's house.
$1 million.
Yeah, man, you used to see that shit where it was like, hey, buy this property. It's X amount of blocks away from Snoop Dogg's house in the Sandlot or Sandbox.
Yeah.
God, that was a fun time too.
I'm sure I told you this, but I like vividly remember the day when all hope of the metaverse being a thing died for me, at least in the way that it was, and kind of realized like, oh, we've had metaverses for a long time. RuneScape is a great metaverse. Warcraft, all that kind of stuff with full economies and everything. That's what they want it to be. Mm-hmm. But when we built the free one in Spatial and no one really used it, I was like, oh, okay. If this is free and it does every single thing that all of the paying ones are paying for, then this bubble's going to go down real hard.
Yep. Hey, guess what happened? It did. But Alex, I have a great question for you.
Yes.
How does one make money from staking in Goodnow? Not only do they sponsor the show, right? But this is actually a really good, just general thing to talk about, because while the market is toast, right? Hopefully you are looking for positions to maybe add to long-term positions like your Bitcoin or your Solana or whatever you believe in, Ethereum, yada, 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 Chainlink, Cardano, maybe for you, XRP, whatever. Buy things on a dip, put it into a hardware wallet, keep it safe for a very long period of time. Or you can stake through a hardware wallet, or you can do it in a hot wallet. Or you're looking to like stake and earn interest on your long-term holding positions. You should be looking to do some of these things in the bear market.
I have a question before I answer that one, because it is a great question. On TikTok in the chat, can anyone see the little AI prompts for the live stream, or is it just me as the host?
Oh, I can't see them.
Okay, because every couple minutes the TikTok stream sends me a little AI generated prompt that's like, it says like AI, and then it kind of determines like what the show has been about, what we've been talking about, and it gives me a suggestion, and they're always like just so close. So the last one that I just got said, it says AI for the crypto and Web3 morning show, discuss Pepe.
Discuss Pepe. It is what the people want.
Thanks, TikTok.
Okay,
how do you make money with Goodnow? So first of all, the initial base way is the same way that anyone makes any money staking anything. So Goodnow facilitates staking services for the Solana network. They do a whole bunch of other stuff, but that's a core function. Staking is allowing someone on behalf of a blockchain to utilize your assets to make that blockchain more secure, and they pay you for doing that. And that's the interest that you earn. You lend your crypto to the chain uses it to become harder, better, faster, stronger, more secure, harder to attack. And in return, the chain pays you in that currency, in that native currency for your service. So with Goodnow, you can stake Sol there, except Goodnow uses something called liquid staking. So not only are you staking and helping secure the Solana blockchain, but you are receiving in return a liquid staking token called Goodnow Sol. And you can take that and you can go do stuff with it. So the idea is that your Sol is going, the Solana is going to the chain, and it's sitting there locked up, securing it, doing its thing. And then outside, you still have access to that liquidity and to that vehicle to do stuff by using the liquid staking token, the Goodnow Sol, and you can go restake that. You can loop it into different DeFi ventures. You can swap it for stuff. You can use it for all sorts of different things. There's a couple different liquid staking protocols. It's becoming more popular just because people don't enjoy the idea of not having any access to anything. But it's that's the primary function: liquid staking, and then receiving Goodnow Sol, and then using that to either restake, which can boost your APY a little bit, or falling down any number of different DeFi rabbit holes. And then thanks to Bearded, shout out for the APY check on Goodnow Sol, currently 6.02%, which is pretty decent. That's not bad for a full token staking payout, because the nice part about that is it's not split. Here's a great example. We were comparing earning rates on DeFi Carrot to Camino. Camino is the biggest lending and borrowing protocol on Solana, and their USDC rate is advertised at, I think, like 8.43%. Maybe the chief APY officer, Bearded, you can hook me up there with a fact check on that, but it's somewhere around that 8% or something. That's a split APY, because you earn interest in USDC for, I think it was like 4.02% of that, and then the other 3.98% or something was paid to you in KMNO, Camino's native token. And we've seen other models like that too. I know, Will, you've talked about Maple Finance, Syrup does that. There are certain vaults, Katana does that, where you can earn USDC interest and you can also earn CAT interest. The same thing. A lot of those protocols will use it as a vehicle to get their token out into the hands of more people by offering it as a joint reward. But Goodnow Sol is cool because it's all paid to you in Sol.
Yeah, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there for more Solana.
It's a good right about now. That's about where my I'm staking more now than I was before, because I have two positions in Sol. I have like a staking position, and then I have my swing trade position. And right now, a little bit more is going to the staking side, just because I have the opportunity to earn more interest if I delegate more. And I don't have an overabundance of faith in this market recovering anytime super soon. And even if it did,
I'm looking at a dead cat bounce right now, just FYI.
Okay, like to what?
Like somewhere between like I'll make it conservative, like 95 to like 99K. That's
conservative?
Yeah.
That feels beefy.
I mean, we're at 86K now. You know, we do have an event. We have a buy the rumor, sell the news event coming up, which is rate cuts on December 10th. And then, which it looks like we're going to get, and everyone's going to be like, oh, we're back. Oh, no. Oh, no. We're not back. But we have rate cuts. Why isn't it changing everything? Because
do you think that's going to change this time? Because the last time we had rate cuts, it was a huge flop and we just crashed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We'll get rate cuts again. What do you mean by last time? You mean last rate cut, or do you mean last period of switching from quantitative easing to quantitative tightening, or vice versa?
No, the first. So because for months and months, all that anyone could hear about was just wait for rate cuts, just wait for rate cuts. And then we didn't even really we just cratered.
Yeah, unfortunately, historically, that's what happens when you have periods of rate cuts. Is the market's typically crashing at the point of rate cuts actually happening. Now, what got a little confusing is because technically we started doing rate cuts after we were doing rate hikes about like a year and a half ago is when we started. And we did like 2 or 3 rate cuts, and then we waited like 9 months or 6 months or whatever to do like more rounds of rate cuts that started 2-3 months ago. Right. So it's like it was this like period of like starting, stopping, and starting again. But now we're at a point where, we're at the historical average, if you will, of like what typically happens when you start doing rate cuts is you start getting the rate cuts and like the market still goes down. And then that period of months where you go down, that then creates your bottom, because then the effect of the rate cuts actually gets felt, because rate cuts actually don't have an effect on asset markets until about 6 months later. Because that's just how things move. Like things don't just happen immediately. That, and also if you cut rates by 25 basis points, we've talked about this before, that's not a really big single impact. So you need like a lot of rate cuts that slowly whittle down to effectively get to a cheap series of rates where people go, oh, okay, and actually really start borrowing money in big ways to then push into the market. That, and also the Fed almost never does rate cuts and starts going out there and adding bonds and mortgage-backed securities to their balance sheet. That's the most important form of quantitative easing that the Fed can do, is actually going out into the market and actively buying things themselves. That's the ultimate form of quantitative easing. And they never do that at the beginning of them doing rate. Not never. I have to go back and look and see. I'm sure they have. Yeah. But they cut rates and then they finish pulling the quantitative easing lever and start buying things from the market.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess, too, it's exhausting to just see like little cut during a time when everything else feels exhausted. So it would make sense that I would not really expect like a run up in anticipation of the rate cuts, because I think we've all been beaten down so much over it.
I saw the comment here from NDS69. Okay, I'm not sure how to say your name on TikTok, but it's like Trump's tariffs didn't help. Yeah, like here's the thing is like we were setting up for a correction no matter what. But the thing that, like I'm talking like market wide, like stocks and crypto and stuff like that. But the thing that's really kind of pushing things over the edge now are the tariffs. And reason why we'll explain. Tariffs make things more expensive, right? They're a tax on corporations. They're not paid by the country. They're paid by U.S. corporations doing business with the country. So profit margins get hurt by those companies. And also companies now have to go out, and I work with these companies. They are going out and finding, well, how do we actually move some production to America? A lot of them are looking to do this, not just other countries, but like, hey, we might as well just bring some stuff back to America. So effectively that does happen. But these companies in the short term have to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's over the course of years, a multi-billion-dollar expense to change your supply chains and it's very expensive. And so because of that, they don't have as much money. Because of that, they're not making as much money. Their profit margins are hurt a little bit. So what do? They have to cut costs. What's their biggest cost? Wages. So they fire people. So people initially get fired. People make less money. Because people make less money, they spend less money. Companies make less money. Therefore, they try to find some more efficiency gain. It's a cycle to a point where it just kind of peters out. But that results in markets collapsing a little bit. Collapse might be a strong word, but correction. It results in a correction. And granted, like I said, even before Trump became president, we were getting closer and closer to the point where like naturally the market was going to want to correct anyway. If you just look at like the technicals on like long-term timeframes, we were getting to that point, but it's the tariffs that are starting to cause things to kind of dip over finally. It was going to happen anyway. Market corrections happen no matter who's in power, but it's that piece that's causing that right now.
I think too, even if, well, there's so many like conflicting, things running into each other too. So you talk about like a company making the decision to spend however many dollars over however many years to move production back. Like on paper makes sense if we knew that was going to be the long term, but they don't know that. So I feel like you would be slow walking a lot of that, because right now, the total legality of all these tariffs is like tied up in the courts. So you don't know if the whole thing's going to get thrown.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I'm working with some companies who are looking to do some projects and stuff. And at the beginning of tariffs, they go, all right, let's just kind of see how this shakes out. Maybe we don't need to move any of our production, in particular out of China, because that was the biggest target of like the 100+, 200+ like tariffs and stuff like that, or like 150%. And then they're like, hey, okay, let's see how this goes. And that was kind of starting in like March to May. And then things progressed. And then we're just like, oh, hey, wait, we're seeing some trade deals. Okay, maybe we don't actually have to move stuff around. And then things kind of got heightened again a number of months ago. And they were like, shit. Okay, I think we do have to move some things around. And so I would say it took about the first 5 months of tariffs for companies to be like, okay, maybe we got to start really kind of like making some moves here. And I've seen a shift in my customers to start looking to like really move portions of the supply chain. And at first, the conversation was never around we're moving it to the States. It was always around, hey, let's move it to Indonesia. Hey, let's move it to Vietnam. Hey, let's move it to other places. But now all of them are moving a portion. They're not moving all of it, but they're moving like a portion and like certain things that they can into the States, which will have some benefits long-term for sure. But like also long-term, that will make some things more expensive than what they were, pre-tariffs. But also, they're also talking to us like, hey, even though like we're starting to make some of these moves, we're doing it in a limited fashion because we still kind of think that these tariffs are going to go away in like a couple of years, or potentially even next summer. They could go away next summer if the Supreme Court rules that they're illegal. So, all these companies are starting to make some initial moves because they view it as a risk management kind of scenario. But like, well, you might as well just move some in case like this is just the future for the next number of years and potentially 5 years or a decade. But we might go back to business as usual for the most part in about like 14 months. Or not 14 months. What is it? 8 months till the summer? Whatever it is. I can't do math.
Me neither. I'd be curious. You mentioned like now they're starting to have that conversation more. I would be curious what the last little shakeup was, because you had the message from the administration for so long being that these are working and that this is bringing in a gajillion dollars. And now all of a sudden you have them themselves walking it back and talking about removing them because they're concerned about affordability now, which is completely in stark contrast to what their messaging was first. And to me as a business, that would say you have no idea what's happening. And whatever you said at first is either wrong or whatever you're saying now is wrong. And it's
all marketing. It's all marketing, baby.
Yes, but if it was influencing my business's decision to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to build facilities and move people and hire here and this, all that kind of stuff, I would put a pause on it. Like, I'd be like, okay, yeah, we're not doing shit.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on like publicly traded companies don't actually do what the CEO wants them to do. They ultimately do what the board does. So it's like you don't just have like one hand on the driving wheel of these companies. Every company is different, no matter even the public ones, right? Everything's different. All the leadership structures are different, but it's not the CEO just making decisions. So the CEO and then the board of directors with all their hands on the CEO's shoulder. So, if the CEO wants to keep their job, if they say like, hey, they have the opinion of yours, but if the board of directors is really concerned, they would say like, hey, we want you to do some risk mitigation, move some things to the States or whatever. Then they'll do that. Also, another thing in the beginning of the tariff conversation was like, okay, well, let's just wait and see what happens. And then they saw the Trump administration was going after other countries, particularly in Asia, because a lot of businesses were just saying, oh, well, we'll move to these countries. And then Trump was like, hey, those countries, we're going to increase tariffs because people are trying to escape China to you. And that was a big part of the conversation, too. So a lot of like the private sector was testing Trump to see what he would do if they just moved their manufacturing out of China to like Vietnam or Cambodia or, what have you. And so, it's a little bit of cat and mouse, if you will, in the beginning. And now they're like, all right, he's following us. But we'll see. I mean, there's still a lot of uncertainty around it because a lot of these companies don't know if the tariffs are going to be around come August. So we'll see. But anyway, yeah. It's at the very least interesting. I just wish this whole interesting thing wasn't making my grocery bill more expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is all fascinating economics conversation, but at the same time, like what I'm spending on my credit card is just slowly going up.
Yeah, I mean, but that's really like the toughest pill to swallow. Is that we talked the whole beginning of the show was talking about incentives. There's no incentive to bring any of those prices down ever.
No, they'll go down, but they'll go down in comparison to where they were. They will be higher.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and even that, like I struggle to
inflation too, but
I struggle to imagine any kind of a significant decrease, just given that it's food. It's an industry of necessity. No one I mean, everyone buys it because they have to. And we're currently paying inflated prices. And if they know that you'll pay it, then what's the incentive to drop it back down? Even if they then...
Well, the incentive is the competition of the free market, right? Someone lowers their prices a little bit.
I keep hearing about that.
It does happen. It does happen. It does work. You just have to look at historical examples where that was not allowed, and you see the fuckery. But it is actively at work, even if you do not feel it.
I would counter that the people who need to feel it the most are the ones who never feel it.
Well, that's because, in order for that, we have government programs that help to provide a little bit of a safety net. Oh, wait, no, they're all being cut. Oh, wait, no, they've all been cut. Wait, no, never mind. What's the point of being the richest country in the world if you can't help your poor people? Anyway, whatever.
Because we've demonized them.
That's because they're bad. How dare they be poor?
Yeah.
How dare you be poor?
Yeah, how dare you? Why is any of this stuff relevant? Because I think so many of these crypto hype theories rely on a mass influx of retail money flooding into all of these different altcoins, and my repeated point is that there isn't any. It's going to things necessary for survival at this point, not
exactly. Yeah.
Not ultra high risk investment assets.
Yes, exactly. I appreciate you taking the opportunity to bring this all back, because crypto, even now more so than ever, even though it was always exposed to this, is a part of the global macroeconomic situation. And global macroeconomics are set by private and public policy, which affects macroeconomics, which everything ultimately bleeds into, well, is crypto going to go up or down, which is the question we always want to ask ourselves, right? And so in order to fully paint the picture as to why or how things are going up or down, you need to understand all of these things that affects this macroeconomic picture, of which crypto is just a very, very, very small part of. So you need to understand politics. You need to understand, at least a little bit, you need to understand macroeconomics. You need to understand finance a little bit, right? And how all these things are intertwined into the banking sector of the United States, yada, 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 because all of that ultimately changes how much money and security people feel to be able to invest in highly speculative assets, and if the number's going to go up or down. That's why it all matters. It's all connected. I know maybe sometimes it gets uncomfortable, but hey, guess what? It's life, baby. You only grow if you are exposed to a little bit of discomfort. Then also, I really enjoy one of my favorite things. And I'll mention this just because it's Thanksgiving in the States. At least this week is. This Thursday is Thanksgiving. I've always felt very, very, very fortunate and blessed that in my family we have a slew of varying political and religious opinions. We talk about that stuff all the time. We sit down at the table. We light up a cigar. My mom gets her Dewar's in ice, and I get my Jameson and a Guinness. My dad does the same, and so do my brothers. And we just sit around a table and we talk about religion and politics and stuff. We all have very different opinions, and it almost never gets heated. And if it ever does, we break out the peace pie and we all have pie together. But it's just nice to be able to have a conversation. We just chat about it. Oh, I heard this, and someone will be like, oh, I actually heard that. It's just really, really nice. So I think it's really great. Just an overall thought and feeling where it's hey, if you have people who you love and you guys really, really respect each other, even if it's friends and stuff, I know it can be kind of nervous to talk about certain topics because you're always just I don't want them to judge me, but it's also such a beautiful thing if you can both collectively all just agree to have just a conversation about it and try your best to not get heated. And it's a really beautiful and fantastic thing because you leave that conversation and maybe your emotions got up or down a little bit at times, but it's so nice to be able to have a safe environment to talk about that stuff because it's so rare. And then you walk out of it almost like you walked out of a workout where you're yeah, maybe I was a little uncomfortable at times, but man, I feel great. That was awesome. Anyway, it's a really, really great thing for people who
I miss the ability to do that when the topic of debate was not deciding which humans deserve rights.
Yeah.
I missed when it was just policy disagreements.
What was that? Let's see. I feel the last time we were able to do that was when Mitt Romney and Obama were running against each other.
Yeah, that was a heavy one. Heavy on the policy discussion.
Yeah, it was heavy on policy. If you could go back and take a look at what the debates were between
McCain
Mitt
too.
Romney. Yeah, and McCain. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Romney was after. It was Romney and Obama. They were just respectable gentlemen. And I was what is this an 1837 gentleman's duel. These guys are really nice.
Go back and watch that now, dude. It's dystopian.
I know, it seems wild. It seems wild. And then you go back to like current debates and you're like, oh man, this is fucking
these people
reality
just hate each
TV. These people just fucking hate each other.
They hate each other and they also don't know what's going on anywhere. They're driven just by their hatred of each other, not by anything else.
You got to get those clips, baby.
Got to do it. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing shifted. The first time I remember it was like, I was still back in, man, when was this? Like high school or early undergrad. And the advertisement for some, I don't even remember who it was between, but like some debate. And it was just like, it was advertised to you as if it was like a WWE match. And I was like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
I vividly remember thinking like, it's never going to be the same after this. Like it's too much entertainment now.
I think it all changed. And if anyone's familiar with Shane Gillis, the stand-up comedian, you'll know his joke where he was like, do you guys remember that time when like Trump first came onto the scene in those like early like Republican primary debates when he ultimately went up against Hillary later before he got the nomination, like no one knew who he was, and except for this reality TV guy, and people were all going through the dates, and like Ted Cruz would be like, well, I like schools. People would be like, oh yeah, schools are good, and then like somebody else would be like, and I think taxes should be lowered. People are like, oh yes, that's nice. And then Trump was like, Ted Cruz is ugly, and people were like, oh shit, I didn't know you could say that. Oh, this guy's awesome. Ted Cruz is like, actually, I'm not. Everyone was like, shut up, you ugly bitch. And then it became like a WWE SmackDown, and politics in America and the world changed forever with that one Ted Cruz comment. Or like Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush was the other guy. I think it was honestly hilarious.
Well,
hilarious.
They weren't
but
emotionally prepared.
That was when it switched.
The that actually does still trend, like it connects back into the crypto market, because, and this was an interesting conversation I had with a friend of mine who works in marketing, was just about like the nature in which companies are now advertising has really very little to do with the product and whose product is better, because everyone's products are mid, and more about like invoking visceral reaction more so than ever, but now using more rage than ever before. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing it where, people will know that like a celebrity is problematic, using them just to invoke the controversy, just to get more like airtime and stuff. Again, it has nothing to do with anything. And I feel like that infects the crypto stuff too, because you have at least somewhat of an influx of people constantly who like, I've heard of it, I'm going to look into it. And what do you see? The same kind of content that gets views in every other niche, that still applies here. It's got to be just like drama filled, fear mongering, overhyped nonsense, whatever. Like none of it's like, we're going to sit down and we're going to learn some terms that you're going to need to know. Otherwise you're going to get screwed. And that is also like that's also causing us to run into all sorts of problems. Like there was just a question that came in about a project that I'm not familiar with called scrolling stall.
Hello, honey. Hello, my darling. Hello, my ragtime. Was that good?
You. Beautiful.
You're welcome. Nice.
Called Canton Network, which I've never heard of. Could look into it. And I said I would. So I'll take a look, because I don't even know what it is. But I would hearken us back to the talking points in the beginning of the show, which were just that it sucks that we can't just like sit here and analyze that thing and talk about why it could be great, or why it could solve a problem, or why it could grow, why it could fail, whatever. Because
we definitely do that at times, though. For people who are watching for the first time, we definitely do that. It's just not right now in this moment.
Yeah, I love to do that. The problem is that right now it's really, really hard, because it all has to come with a footnote and none of that really matters. We're not at the time in the market where you can fundamentally analyze something and buy based on the merits of that analysis, unfortunately. So I would say tuck it into your cap and learn about the things that you're interested in, and be very careful, especially with buying.
Yeah. Anything. Well, Alex, it's about that time where we should start.
It is
heading on out of here.
Do you have I know you said, we touched on it a little bit, it's a light data week?
Yeah, it's a light data week. I mean, oh gosh, I had it up before. What do we get? We get PPI inflation tomorrow. We get retail sales data tomorrow. We get our weekly jobs report on Wednesday instead of Thursday because Thursday markets are closed. FYI, everybody, markets are closed on Thursday. So this is a short week, short trading week. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about it tonight during Market Watch. I'll be live 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time with Doug. We'll talk about markets or so within an hour, do a little bit of charting. And yeah, we'll have a little bit more of a just like TA economic conversation. See you guys here later tonight. I'll be live on all of the classic Rise Up Morning Show channels and also on my channel on TikTok. If you're not following, give me a follow over there or keep your eye out for it. You'll see it.
Good deal. In answer to Robots Declarish's question, yes, there are some ETFs launching this week, and kind of like Will was talking about in the beginning with the state of the ETF environment in and around here. I don't remember which ones. There's an XRP one, there's a Doge one, there's something else.
Oh yeah, now Grayscale G-Dog started trading on the New York Stock Exchange, making the first Dogecoin ETP in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really expect any of those to be popular.
No. However, with more altcoin ETFs coming out, Bitcoin dominance will become more relevant again.
Mm-hmm. Well, depending on
once the market turns around. Well, no, I'm just saying Bitcoin dominance will become more important again, like later, not now. Just even like as soon as the ETFs come out, it's not going to really matter until we get to like another round of buying. Mm-hmm. Because if you just turn on the Dogecoin ETF right now, no one's selling except for Grayscale investors who were buying Dogecoin a while ago at a discount and are potentially in profit right now. But I don't know how much profit they're going to be in, so.
Yeah, I'm not filled with an overabundance of optimism there.
No, but honestly, that's fine because it means that it won't add selling pressure onto Doge in the short term.
There you go. Well, I look forward to seeing you guys live for Market Watch. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow morning, right here for the final, hopefully for a little while, show without Evan. Evan's finishing his travel. It's a pretty lengthy flight and travel thing. I think he's traveling for most of today, has a lengthy layover, and then final flight, and then I think he just gets in super late. But Evan will be back soon. We will be back sooner. And of course, thank you to everyone for spending your morning with us, for hanging out, especially allowing us to
wait a second.
Neglect the chat a little bit as we rant and rave about all sorts of things that inspire ranting and raving. Will, you look like you're uncovering something here at the last second.
What's the current price of XRP?
Stand by.
Is it like 50 cents?
No. Are you out of your mind? It's 208.
It's 208. 1,000. Oh, this actually isn't that much money. Okay. I was just curious. I was like, how much XRP does the Grayscale Trust have that would be turned into an ETF? They only have $11.6 million. Okay. Never mind. I was like, oh, when that ETF turns on, you would actually have a lot of people who are in profit through that trust that would then immediately turn around and sell that XRP. I was like, I wonder if that's a lot of money. That's a really good short opportunity for XRP, actually. But if it's only $12 million, Never mind.
Yeah, it seems to have found a lot of stability around there.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you to everyone for hanging out. Thank you to all of our wonderful show partners and sponsors, The White Whale, Polygon, Jito, Arculus, and Unlock Protocol. The show is made better and more possible with every single one of them. I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out and for spending your morning with us. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow. Until then, we will be around in and around the Circle community. If you have any lingering questions, anything you didn't get answered, anything that you guys want to discuss, you can find that at rumshq.com is the main show website, and then community.rumshq.com is the direct invite link for the Circle. I look forward to seeing all of you guys there. We'll see you tonight for Market Watch. We'll see the rest of you tomorrow morning for the Rise Up Morning Show. And until then, everybody, rise up.
Bye.